gentlemen,
I've
it
never
is
been.
6:30. So let us come to order. Okay, does anybody want to approve the minutes?
I move they be approved.
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Oh, look at that, they got approved. President's remarks, I have no remarks, I really don't. The big issue is gonna be the water access point on Surf, and that comes up under unfinished business, so I don't have any remarks. Office update.
Okay. Because of the issue on Surf, we talked about my scanning the minutes and so on, which is on my list of things to do. But then because of the issue on Surf, it would be nice to perhaps be able to scan them, not scan them, make them readable. And Adobe Reader, I guess it is, for $20 a month, I could download Adobe Reader and then be able to search those minutes once I scan them.
Well, once they're in, that means you can search it
Yes,
with
it's a
real
searchable
English.
document.
It becomes a searchable document,
That's nice, that's nice.
for $20 a month.
Well, you could have canceled it at the end of the year. We just cancel
So
it.
what is it you're searching?
Well, I'm trying to remember now, because these notes have been here for a while.
I think
Back when
it's-
I was trying to look for a precedent about,
No, what kind of document?
oh, the minutes.
No, all of
Word
our,
documents.
yeah,
The old ones.
this came up in a
It
conversation
did.
with us.
It did.
Uh,
The ones that go back 30
Yeah,
years.
in order to every now and then go back and look for a historical precedent or whatever, we have the minutes, but they're really not, they're all hard copy, they're paper, and what are you gonna do, sit there forever and do it?
Mhm.
However, if we scan them all in with a readable program, boom, you can find exactly what you're looking for in minutes. I
My
can,
suggestion is, once you do that, once you've scanned them all in, go in and do a free trial on Adobe. And then go
Oh,
in and
that's
do your
good.
search, and then cancel your free trial.
That's a good idea.
Because Adobe's it's ridiculously expensive unless you're using it a lot,
Well,
often.
right. So my thought was that I would get them all scanned and turned into searchable documents, then cancel the subscription.
Well,
Similar idea.
either way.
But yeah, that's a thought.
At least they're getting some money.
When I get closer to the point where I'm going to do that, I'll double check the price and bring it back.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
that was just, and I will say, recently I ran across an item in trying to just, it was back when I was going through and cleaning out files, I ran across this one, and I set it aside, a document that said that somebody had been allowed had requested to put a septic field in the right of way, the association right of way. This was years before my time. But since I've been here the past 20 years, somebody else asked to do the same thing, and the board said, no, you can't do that. Rightly so, in my opinion. So anyway, I thought, oh, I'll never find it. I wonder if it was ever approved in the minutes. I just happened to walk back, because I looked at the timing, and there it was, I picked it right out, and it was approved by the board. It never went, I can't find where it went to the membership. Remember, this is it was 1989. It's an old thing.
Probably.
But I'm just, points to the reason why a policy should be set, and then we don't veer from that. Because then you don't have to wonder, did that ever happen before?
Yeah, it was like 45 years ago.
Oh, well, exactly
And
right.
just because it was done once doesn't mean it's.
Exactly, but
Doesn't mean we should
nevertheless,
continue.
nevertheless.
No, I wasn't
So,
saying you
yeah.
were suggesting that.
But anyway, so it was just odd that that came up, and I
Yeah.
walked right back and found, oh, look, it's right there. Anyway, so there's that. I got an email from Robert White, who is Public Works Department, and I had sent a request to Public Works about guidance for the installation of traffic calming devices. And I didn't hear anything until the other day, maybe 2 weeks now. Gee, Robert White says, did you ever hear anything about this? And I said, no, I never had a response. They said they'd get back to me, but they haven't. And he said that he wasn't familiar with that document that I had sent to them. And it did look to me like it was just a recommendation from a former director, Rai Sharma, if anybody knows that name. He's no longer there. I don't know that it ever got approved by the commissioners. It was a recommendation. So anyway, Mr. White said, I will come if you guys want to look at traffic calming devices on 1 or 2 of your streets. He said he would give us that guidance. So I don't know, are we still pursuing that? And,
It wouldn't hurt to get that input,
well, okay.
you know.
Yeah, not that we would have to do it,
But, yeah, we don't have to do
and
it,
then we can,
but just so we know.
yeah, and it may very well be with the different circumstances, how, what you can and cannot do,
So-
it may not be
So
something
he
we
wants
can
to,
do.
wants to come in and give us a presentation?
No, he said he
Well-
would come in and I suppose meet with probably whoever's on the road committee, I would say Steve also, me,
Do a little walk around.
and just do a little walk around.
Oh, okay.
I would say just on Lake, I
Yeah,
think,
Yeah.
because obviously
We have
we don't
those
know the
two-
rate,
two
the others
bends.
curve too much.
and the lake has those
Yeah.
two dangerous
Yeah,
curves,
exactly.
so that would be a good place.
So
to-
Robert, I'll let him know. I had him on my task to do that.
Rhea, would you, when you do that, will you let me know as well if I'm around, I would like to do that.
Sure. But he, you
Oh,
know,
yeah, if
he'll have to
anybody
get
else
it in
wants
on
to
his
do it, it's not
schedule as
like-
well.
Yeah, I mean.
It's not like you can't do it, you, if you wanna do it,
Yeah,
I'll ask him to give us some dates when he's available, and
yeah,
that's.
and if it works, that'd be good.
Yeah, let's get another pair of eyes.
Right, and with the holidays coming up, people are getting short of time already. As you guys know, but the rest of you, got an email from Community Association Institute the other day. They had filed a motion for a preliminary injunction against having to adhere to the Transparency Act by entering the information. So, well, no, in other words, we have to do it.
Oh, we have to do
They
it.
denied, I'm sorry,
Oh.
I didn't finish there.
Oh, sorry.
It was rejected.
Oh.
It was rejected, which is why I asked you guys for your driver's licenses. I did it the other day for the harbors,
Mhm.
community little water manage. It's pretty simple.
Mhm.
It's just, it's a form you fill out, I put myself as the person, you know, filing the form. It's really just your name, date of birth, residence
Just the
address.
officers, right?
Just the officers, yeah. Anybody who has primary,
Right.
control over the money, and you guys can all sign a check, which of course I have that with the bank as well, so. So that's, that, they're still working on it, CAI is, but that's the latest, and they recommend, because it's January 1st is the deadline. This was a surprise today, got it out of the mailbox, the insurance premium increase. I made a phone call, left a message, hopefully they'll call me back. We paid $57.80 for the current year for the business building and employee dishonesty policy. We paid $5,780. It's going up to $15,127. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, Okay.
Are you out, they're all going up to that degree?
No.
Well, okay, here's what I got from State Farm.
Okay.
The yacht club and building hazard and liability insurance went up from 11,000 to 15,000. Okay. I said, well, that's a 33% increase. Why? And she came back and she said, she went back to the underwriters. We were getting, I don't know about the insurance here, but apparently we were getting essentially a COVID relief discount on insurance, because I guess they figured, well, it's not being used as much, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So that's done, so that kicked it up. General inflation kicked it up. All the storm damage all over the country, we're all paying for that. So all that stuff kicked it up, but that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous,
Yeah.
that's 3 times about it.
It's not on
And
the
that's
water.
just,
Yeah.
no, and that's just the building and so on. The umbrella policy, which I believe is for directors and officers, I may have.
Now, the umbrella's liability.
Is it like,
The
okay, I
D&O policy is
Okay.
usually separate, or
Okay.
it might be combined with our general liability.
okay, you're right, because that's how I have it in QuickBooks, but then when I looked at it, anyway, it went from $396 to $1580.
Well,
I like
wait a minute, $396
to
to,
$1,580.
well,
even, my personal insurance, I just had my premiums, and everything's gone up.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah,
This is-
not triple, a lot,
Not
not triple, but
And
but
fine.
substantially.
Yeah.
Especially down here for this house, because it's
Yeah.
on the water.
and you called them, but they haven't
They
gotten
haven't
back?
gotten back to me. I just pulled this out of the mailbox at about 4:45.
Are there,
And I'm like,
are there other sources of getting?
well, we can ask for them to put it out there, you know, and try to get a better deal, but I have a feeling this is,
Who's it with?
Saunders
Yeah,
Insurance,
Oh.
E.L. Sanders.
Is he just
But
a-
he's like a
They're just a broker?
broker, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so, yeah, We need to challenge that, because that's.
Oh, I agree,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's due
I mean, I
January
thought 30%
first.
was bad enough, but that's
Yeah.
But it's due
absurd.
January first, and I don't know how quickly they can,
And they just told us now.
it always comes about this time.
Well, yeah,
it
yeah,
always
normally.
does.
Yeah,
That's
that's true.
All you can do right now is just go back to them and say, tell us why this is happening,
Right.
Yeah.
what's,
Mhm.
Yeah,
do we have any other options? Maybe you need to shop another insurance company.
right, and the deductible is 5,000, so it's already got a reasonably high deductible,
Mhm.
maybe we can increase it more. But again, back to the condos I no longer manage, they tried just increasing their deductible, and it dropped the premium by, I don't know, like
It
$2.
doesn't change a
It
lot.
didn't, it just
Yeah,
didn't,
yeah.
it wasn't worth bothering,
Yeah.
so, anyway,
Wow.
that's all the news that is good news.
Is that the good news? Spare us the bad.
That's right.
God. Any questions for that wonderful update? All right, well, committees, what do we have for operations?
So, Grover finished some work, the one up on Mill Creek, where he had to approve an increase, I think it was $18.94, something like that. This is several weeks ago, I may not remember. So they finished that, and, it'll be paid out of state highway user revenue. She-Hi, of course, was done out of here, but just to let everybody know, I paid immediately the portion that came from the covenants, which is $115,227, and I billed the county for the remainder. So what I do is send out a letter requesting authorization. I send that to Public Works, and that's the same guy, Mr. White, Robert White, who's going to do the traffic calming with us. He, like that day or the next, forwarded it to finance, which is what the letter says, please authorize finance to send us the money. Didn't hear anything from Robin. A few days go by, I said, hey Robin, she was copied, I was copied, we were all there. Hey Robin, have you had a chance to look at this? No response, no response, no response. Finally, a week ago Monday, I called and got connected with finance. Oh, Robin retired months ago. Didn't know that. Didn't know that.
Inform you, yeah.
Welcome to the government.
So I was very patient, because I kept interacting, and what was going on? So anyway, that's been paid now. But more than that, the man I spoke with, whose name I can't recall just now, he wasn't even aware that we have state highway user revenue that flows through county government. Oh, really? I think they're really in the middle of a lot of change at the county government level. And I'm surprised Robin didn't retire a year ago. But anyway, I went ahead and crafted an email to say, by the way, we have special tax district, this is how it works, I bill quarterly for maintenance and ops, and if it's a capital expense, I do it separately for Public Works. And also, there's also state highway revenue, and I don't really know how that works at the county, because, anyway, I don't get reports from them anymore at all, as far as how much is in that special tax district. And I kind of look back at the last year's numbers, and so, anyway, hopefully things will kind of settle down a little bit. According to Robin, a lot of people had retired and various things, and she just kept getting more and more and more put on her plate. That's, yeah, so anyway, that was that. I've been working with, let me give you this. Well, real quickly, I've been working with permitting on 3 different areas, 2 tree removal and 1 blanket permit for the road work that we do. Like I keep going back and forth, there's a portal now I go to, instead of handwriting the permit requests and so on, you go through the county portal. And then they'll send you, well, you need this, you need that, blah, blah, blah. So then you go back to the portal, and there's nowhere to upload these documents. So I've been working with tech support off and on, and today he finally said, well, let me look at it. Well, he already had, but again, today, he said, well, what's going on is this. They're not used to using that portal, the county employees that permitted. So they get my request, and they say, oh, I need this, so they send me an email. And it says, do not reply to this email. It's just, this is what we need. Oh, okay, go to the portal. No way to upload it. What they need to do is then go to the portal and click it, open it back up on that request, so then I can respond. So anyway, there's that.
Great.
Anyway, so now, I got these, just about an hour ago from Steve, stormwater management requests, or, work that needs to be done. The total is $15,361. Steve couldn't be here tonight, his daughter's doing something. And I can pass them around, the ones that are, he deems the most urgent, I dog-eared. But the total is $15,361. I don't know how you want to handle it. Do you want to go through them one by one? I'll give you the price. Shall I forward them to you in email tomorrow, because they just came in?
Well, which ones are the ones that are
Look,
urgent?
look at the dog-eared. There's two on Laurel and the one on Beach that Alan told us about.
All right, well, why don't we discuss these three as they are
Okay.
urgent? And they're only, well, okay,
They're good.
5, 7, 8,000. Rounded up. And,
And bring a look at it.
you know,
You want to look at them?
Yeah, we haven't taken anything out of this account yet, or this.
No, there's
Yeah, we-
20,000 in stormwater management and
So,
special
yeah,
tax
we
district
got
money.
okay, so Rhea, why don't you lead the discussion on that as you're the operations person when Steve's not here?
There's two on Laurel Way, one culvert under my old house on Laurel Way, or near it. And they've got the same address. Anyway, those two houses, my old house and the one to the right of it, the culverts are blocked and driveway is blocked, it needs to be dug out and riprap placed at the opening, 5 feet by 3 feet. Oh, and then note, this may need additional attention. And then, the same thing at the neighboring house. The one at, I think, my old house is $14.95, the one at the neighboring house is $9.95. This one, it was for $14.95, it must just be additional, more digging out and clearing out than what this one needs. So that's about $2,500 between the two of them. And then the one on Beach is $47.64. It's 170 feet of riprap that needs to be placed in there from the top of the hill to the homeowner's property line at 552 Beach. Dig out the side of the road to install 175 feet of surge stone from the top of the hill to the homeowner's property lines, repeated. Price includes delivery, material, labor, and haul fees.
Yeah, that's the one that creates stones on
Yeah,
the street.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he said these are the ones that if we can't do them all, would be the most urgent.
Well,
But then when I looked at the budget, they kept coming in, and I'm like, Steve, I need priority here. But then it stopped, and it's under 20,000 for everything.
well,
But that's for the whole year, right, or for the rest of the budget?
Well, that would have to be. I
So,
think we're pretty close to.
yeah.
And I don't think we should spend the entire budget, because what if something comes up?
that's right.
Did
Did
he
he
start to
get,
ask?
did he get more than one bid on these?
He did not, but the thing that is, the other one that he would ask would be J. Calvin Wood.
Yeah.
And we certainly can. But golly, he's been so expensive.
Well, yeah,
Is there a chance
lately,
that
but
maybe-
sometimes he's been less. That's why I
Okay.
wondered.
Should we go ahead, should I ask
Well-
him to get an estimate from John?
Well, it makes sense. You know,
Maybe
It
on,
does.
at least on maybe one or two of the more expensive ones. and
The
just
three
see
The
if-
one
Yeah.
on Beach?
Well,
The one on Beach?
Yeah, that seems like
I mean, that seems like a big
I
number,
know.
4,700?
Yeah.
yeah, well, no, these
I
two
mean, I don't know
that
what
are,
I'm talking about, but it sounds
Yeah,
like.
I don't know how to
These
compare it
two-
either.
these
I
two-
did
Probably
the
not.
Holiday
These
Express
two-
last night.
These two I don't think are worth getting another bid on.
A couple rocks.
It's a couple thousand the whole
But
thing.
what about
We
the
thought my
one
area
on
was
Beach? And then
What is that?
and then there's one on Eagle that's almost 4,000.
Yeah, I would-
Yeah, well,
Should I
those,
have
yeah,
him get
yeah,
estimates on
yeah,
those?
yeah, get estimates
Or
on
from
those,
John?
yeah.
And then hold on to these others.
There was a third one, wasn't there?
Well, the
The
third-
third one.
Yeah,
The three dog-eared, that's this one on Beach, that we'll get another estimate
Oh,
on
yeah, yeah,
from John
yeah.
Wood.
Look, I think, I don't know how other people feel, but, you know, I don't think it makes sense for us to waste too much time on a bid that's 995.
$1,500.
Yeah, $1,500,
$1,000, so I would,
I think we can just approve these, well, do people feel differently?
That's fine.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, you
Fine,
know, we
yeah, I
can
don't think
approve,
we're gonna get it, I mean,
it's not worth getting a second bid
So
on.
the one that's 4,000, you're just questioning.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're gonna get a second bid on that if we can.
So do you wanna make a motion, what about these three, hold on to these for
What,
now?
they're each a little more money, right?
Here's one for $895 on Mill Creek,
Is
which is
that
above
8,000, 8K or
$895.
800?
The right side of the culvert under the driveway is blocked and needs to be dug out, it's
It's
a
the same
similar
as
thing.
this.
Yeah.
So I
So,
don't see any problem with that either.
Yeah.
and riprap and so on, it's the same kind of work.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Cardinal Drive, which is, if you go up Laurel, make the left on the Cardinal. The culvert under the roadway needs clearing and dug out on both ends, riprap at both sides. It's the same kind of work, but a little more so, it's both ends, $13.95.
And people don't, I mean, because if you don't do it, they might get flooded, right? I mean,
Well, that's the
Well,
so
point.
it's not nice to.
Yeah, I don't
I
have-
mean, with our stormwater management.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
guys,
don't have any problem with that one either.
Yes.
Does anybody want to question that one at all?
no.
And then the last one is that for 1848, get a little higher, also on Cardinal Drive. Right near Ron, it seems like those should be done at the same time. Under the roadway needs clearing and dug out on both ends, riprap place.
Does Steve have anything to say about these, especially ones that are higher, or you just kind of check?
No, other than that, you know, he prioritized
Yeah,
those
Steve was-
three.
But he didn't think they were out of line, or
Uh,
he would have said
I
something,
don't think so, yeah, he would say,
I would
I'm
think.
pretty sure.
Yeah,
But I agree, maybe
Yeah,
going with
just
John
get-
for
Yeah, just-
prices.
Yeah, those are a little pricey, let's get another estimate on both. But these, you know, these five,
Well,
One's almost
this
2,000.
1,800 one, the culvert's not blocked, the culvert's draining. So they may, you know, the riprap would be a Band-Aid to help later, you know, keep. So that one I wouldn't get as excited about. This one, 1395, pipe itself is clear. Both of those, the pipe's clear. You know, if the culvert needs to be dug out, like on a couple of those, I think.
Mhm.
needs clear, well, it says needs clearing and dug out on both ends. And the same thing
But
here.
it says the pipe is clear, right?
Says needs-
No, the pipe itself is clear
Oh.
and does not need cleaning out. So I guess it's just what, digging at both ends and
Yeah.
digging out the ends?
So I would agree with Steve, those are probably, to me, those would be lower priority if we want to delay things.
Well, I'm not questioning the delay or the timing, it's just how much effort, how much time and effort are we gonna put into two projects where each one of them is, well, one is
Well-
2,000 and the other's 1,400.
I,
The only thing I would say is if you're going to think of these to do them, I think they should be done at the same time,
Yeah.
because they're both on Cardinal.
But you
But
see-
also just get Steve's input about why these were so much higher.
Well,
Well, we've
when
got
I did,
that.
I
We've
asked, I
got
said,
that.
Yeah,
yeah,
that we're gonna go for other bids
Yeah.
on.
yeah.
And so that leaves us with these,
I move we approve all these.
yeah, this leaves us 5 here. Yeah, are there any questions about these 5?
The
Or,
ones that are under 1,000?
yeah, each one, well, one's about
No,
2,000.
yeah.
One's 1,800, 1848. And, yeah, we got, these are under 1,000, this one is 1,400, and this one is not, we'll call it 1,800. Any objections?
Is there a second?
Well, yeah.
Can you
Somebody has to
say,
make a motion.
can you say, move to approve these and request estimates
Yes,
from somebody else?
that's the motion. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Mike just did.
Oh,
I'll
is
second.
there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done.
Okay.
Is that all we have from operations?
Yes.
Moving
Tree removal on Newsom Cove, the trees down now, Laurel Creek took it down. They haven't picked up all the stuff yet, so we need to make sure we follow up with them, make sure they clean it out.
And they,
He didn't have the shredder and stuff with him, so.
yeah, he always, when they're trimming,
Yeah.
They leave it and then they come in at some
Right,
point
I
later.
assume they will.
Yeah,
So anyway, just let you know the tree is down.
okay.
What was wrong, was something wrong with it?
Is
Yeah,
Leaning,
It's in the
forget it.
way.
leaning into other people's property and
And that's
it's on
what
our right of way.
Carl had permission from Robin Monikeisen, and this one of his permits I'm doing is an after-the-fact permit. It's like pulling teeth. Anyway,
So that's done.
Any other
And they
questions?
did the cutback on Cove and Lisa, finally.
Anything else on operations? Jack, what do we got for money?
Well, I mean, some of the highlights we already had, we're okay with stormwater management, so we got that down. Nothing really remarkable on, budget-wise, this is in the last month, still where we want to be, in all the, categories. I guess we won't be in stormwater management if that all goes. Still. Generally, we're still in good shape. Refresh my memory, is there any requirement that we put things out to bid?
we have, the STD agreement says any job over 15,000, we have to put out to bid. But, we have to do our due diligence and make sure that we have, good contract and so on. Regardless. So altogether, this comes in under 15,000. And we're not allowed to separate jobs in order to.
Oh, but they're separate jobs.
I know they are, this was, never mind, that was a long time ago, Rita, don't bring it up. The man has passed away.
No, that's, look, hey, I'm going through this in Falls Church, and you can't pyramid, I know, you can't pyramid a job. It's,
Okay.
There's actually also, just looking back, there's actually 5 out of 7, not 4, just so everybody's clear on that. There's 5 jobs out of 7, not 4. Just make sure we're on the same page. So, yes, there is a requirement, but if it's over 15,000.
Okay, good. That's it.
any questions for Jim? No.
I'm just curious about like what you're talking about, the insurance. So if we're not able to get that cost to come down, is that gonna bust our budget?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
That is gonna be a bit of
Yeah, I think we budgeted, what, maybe 6,000, I mean, look at that.
Let's just move everything to Florida.
Oh, yeah.
So we know
Yeah,
what
you
we're
have
paying for.
6,700 budget for the
Yeah.
B&O building, 450 for the, probably the umbrella, workman's comp. So it's basically 6,700 versus 15,000.
Yeah, nailed.
I was shocked. Anyway,
It's due January 1.
January 1.
Doesn't give them much time to look at alternatives.
All right, any other questions on money or insurance or moving? Bonnie, the environment.
I walked around in some of the sites and it looks like some of the fragmites are dying, getting a little burnt up looking, so I'm sure he did the job, and he billed you. I think about
Oh,
the
yeah.
last time when we talked about it, you hadn't received the bill, so that's been done, and then you're starting up your Ivy League.
Yeah, on November 16th, weekend after next, which is a Saturday from 10 to 12, and Rhea sent the email out to everybody, so I'm hoping we get a good turnout.
It's on Riverview, right?
It's on Riverview, the Lake Vista side of Riverview.
And that's it?
I wanted to just comment on, I walked over to Community Beach the other day and I was like checking on the grass and everything. The grass is still there. But the the fence sometimes goes down on the side of the water.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it
Don't
seems
push
like,
it back out.
yeah, it's, well, I think we have to get a heavier fence for that side or something.
Well, I think, when we have, when the water comes up, I think
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Is it the water that does it?
Occasionally, I think it is, because occasionally, we have water that pushes up. It's not all the time, but occasionally that happens.
There's not hurting the grasses though.
And the grass is fine. It sometimes pushes,
Mhm.
like trash up in there, because
Oh.
I saw,
Yeah.
some trash that got caught up in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was wondering if we needed a stronger.
I don't know
I
how
don't
we
know.
do the trick. I don't
I think
know.
we just
But the grass looks
throw
fine.
good money after bad.
It happened when we had the really high coastal flooding.
Yeah, that's,
And then it kind of came over a little bit. with
Yeah.
Waves and a couple wind.
I don't think heavier fence would.
Well then, let's just have
Well, we have
Joe
a
pick
fence,
up.
so we're adhering to the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we're about the grasses and the
Right.
they
grasses
just
seem to
put
be
the
doing
fence back
well.
up. I mean, it's still there, it's just kind of
Yeah,
down in the
yeah.
sand.
Yeah,
I'll mention to Joe.
Yeah.
yeah, just have him pull it up, I
He's-
guess.
Joe's in the middle of moving, so packing and getting
Yeah.
ready, so he might be a little delayed. That reminds me that a property owner came in the other day, excuse me, and he has, horseshoe crabs that he's gathered. And he wondered if we would like to have those put inside that fenced off area for kids to look at. And I said,
That's inviting them to go in and play with them.
I agree, and that's kind of what I said, and I said, but I'll mention it to the board, but I kind
I don't
of
think
don't
so.
know that that's a good
I
idea.
can be outvoted, but I don't think. it's a
These
good
are
idea.
live,
No,
Oh,
they're
they're
dead,
dead.
no,
Oh,
they
they're
have
You
to
know,
be in
you walk
water,
along the
they're dead.
beach, you see them occasionally,
Yeah,
little
yeah.
things.
Yeah, they might pick them
Why
up
did
and-
he think we wanted them in there?
So
For
kids
kids to
can
look
look at.
at and,
Oh, no.
well, I mean,
Tony's grandchildren might like them.
Yes.
Give them to Tony.
Send it to Tony's
Yeah.
house.
I will, we'll drop them off.
Tony, you can come by, I have 3 of them on my porch.
All right, just,
Put them up on that screened porch and they'll look good.
I was pretty certain that would be the answer,
Yeah.
but this way, if he comes back, I can say, look,
No,
yes,
no,
I was right.
no.
Anyway, that's it.
What was they gonna do with them otherwise?
I agree.
We had them for dinner.
Okay.
All right, moving right along, safety, John's not here.
But I have his
Oh,
report.
okay.
He met with, as I said, we'll be out of town for 45 days, leaving first thing in the morning. He's here, but he's leaving like at 6 in the morning. He met on Saturday, the 26th, I think it was, and held an exercise with people from the county to conduct radio checks and make sure they could get online and communicate with the county, the ham radios. They simulated a capsized boat and, used that reason to contact the county and so on. And all the radios checked and work out and, work well. So also a man by the name of Dare Hughes, who volunteers with the county, helped conduct the radio checks, and he is a certified ham radio operator. John is in the process of securing his certification now, so that's it. He's been busy.
Good.
Yeah,
So
back up
I
and
was able to
ready.
find some headway there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the welcoming committee, I just signed the letter.
Yeah, Tony just signed a letter to request additional buckets. We'd already sent one. Cindy already dropped one off at Ace, but we haven't heard any. And it's been probably 6 weeks, so it's kind of unusual. So just signed another one, updated the date. I have 4 on hand, there's supplies back there to assemble 4 additional. And I've sent 12 letters out in the past 6 or so weeks, I haven't had any responses, so, anyway.
12 letters.
I'm sorry, I always send out after a couple of weeks when somebody moves in. I wait a few weeks, then I send them a letter, just a form of, please stop by, can you read it? That's it. So anyway, I haven't any responses to them right now.
I tell them we're giving away $1.
That'll do it.
All right,
And now that's it.
planning committee.
Okay, the only thing we've done is, Kurt Larson had recommended that we do like benchmark measurements.
Yes, I was gonna ask about that.
So, we did the first one in July. We measured basically from the power pole down to what appears to be the water line at whatever tide we're at. So that was 29 feet at the end of July. Then we tried to get one close. I wanted to set this up to do it on the solstice or near each of the solstice. So the best we could do was was October 3rd, which is a few days afterwards, but travel and whatnot. that's when we had all the big high tides. So we measured it, it was from 29 in July, and it was 16 3/4. But that was mostly due to, these high water conditions we had.
It's a really
So
high.
Rita's created a log, basically a spreadsheet log. We'll keep that in there, and we'll annotate it with notes like the 3.3 feet above
Yeah.
mean high water, for that measurement, all that stuff, so. That's what we're doing.
All right,
And I'll
good.
pick another one near the 20th of December, somewhere.
Oh,
in there.
okay.
You know, I brought it up before casually, but I think I really want to bring it up again. That walkway where surf used to be, in between, what's a good name for it, the
Bollards.
bollards at Min's house and Martinez's property. There's a spot in there where you can see where the riprap at one point, or the gravel or whatever it was, is here, and it is now sloped, and it's sloping
It's
down.
deteriorating.
It's deteriorating and eroding a little.
Mhm.
I think we ought to fix it, because the thing can happen, as Jack pointed out to me, if it gets bad enough, well, then you can't get permission to fix it, because it's, it's too late, that's just Mother Nature at work.
And people use that to get to the community beach to
Yeah,
walk.
they do,
So I think it's important.
there are walkers in there, there are bike riders in there,
Mhm.
everybody's in there. Now, I think somebody else should take a look at it other than me. Maybe I'm just sort of going, hey, gee, I think this is funny. But I sincerely think we ought to do, it's a stretch of, I don't know, maybe 12, 15 feet, or maybe a
Length,
little
the
more.
length, and the width is net kind of.
Yeah, it's got,
I mean,
it's
I've
just,
looked at it too, and when I first came here, it was actually a nicer path, and it was, like, not gravel, it was kind of like,
well, that number 5, whatever that stuff is that we use alongside the road, that's what, that's what, yeah, that's it.
it was
Thank you.
even more, it was more of a.
No, but it was there, it was flat.
It was more of a,
wasn't
it was more
washing
of
out.
a.
Now it's
like a-
sort of, it's sloping and
But
it's
when I first
eroding
came here, it
down.
was more like a
What are you
blacktop.
talking about?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And then we had
About-
This is
Hurricane
Yeah,
Isabel,
And it's
Well,
right,
there-
Ernesto
right
maybe,
here. So
Oh,
it's
that's the
right
problem,
about
didn't know.
here.
and I think it got
So
all
it's on
broken up.
that side of the footbridge?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Isabel's what
right
you
about
have.
here.
yeah, Isabel was bad.
So
Not
that's,
too down.
Yeah,
Which side of the footbridge is it?
On Min's side of the
yeah,
footbridge.
and
I
then you
wonder
go,
what's causing that to.
I don't know, there's a lot of,
it's
there's a
like,
lot.
like it's eroding from
Yeah,
underneath.
it looks like it's eroding
From
down,
underneath,
it looks
and
like
then-
it's
and that-
collapsing.
and
I don't know,
That concrete back there,
I don't know what's making it happen, I don't know how we can make it stop. That
Well,
may be the answer, it may be so expensive that we
that-
can't do it.
yeah, but people, that's,
But I think it needs a look, that's,
yeah,
that's,
yeah,
I'll try to get over there and look at it,
yeah,
it's a different set of eyes.
all right,
yeah.
good, and now we get to, does anybody else have something else they wanna bring up? And now we get to unfinished business, the wonderful water access point on Surf. Mike, spotlight's on you.
Me? Oh, yeah. What do you-
Whatever, both of you, it's a duet.
Okay, well, this goes back, remember, we had this complaint from one of our wonderful members about not being able to get to the beach, so he just took it upon himself to go in there on Dorothy Hassan, whatever her name is, on her lot and just clear out a path, chopped it out. That is, we suspected it was on her property. The only way to really try to resolve that was to get a survey. Because looking at the plats and everything, it looked like there's a,
Yeah, I think there's a gap there.
so what we're talking about here, basically, this is Surf, how the old road used to go through here. Of course, it ends now. Her 2 lots were this one and this one. There's actually a drainage right-of-way, it's actually called Grace Creek. It comes down here and joins up with this little strip of land here, which he decided he had the right to go in and clear. Only problem was, he cleared back here, didn't clear where this is really exists. So we had, we got COA to come in and survey that strip. And it's all marked and pinned now, so we know where it is. The bad news, and it clearly shows that he was trespassing on Dorothy's land when he cut this.
I'm sorry, was it shrubs, was it grass, was it trees?
Doesn't matter. He
Brush.
had no right to, he had no right to be there, he had no right to be clearing.
It was
Yeah,
big
it's
grass.
somebody that,
It
it
was
wasn't
all
good
over
property.
trees.
Could have required a permit, I mean, there's just all
But it
kinds
should, I
of
mean,
issues.
you can't do that to somebody else's
But
property.
the bottom line is, he was not on, he was on somebody else's private property when he did it. They had every right in the world to call the sheriff and,
Mhm.
you know, have him, but they didn't, so this turned into a little neighborhood battle and all that crap, so that's why we decided to go ahead and get the survey done. So we got the survey, and what it basically showed was, it found this, the strip. The bad part is, like right here, it shows the shoreline, well, that's not really the shoreline anymore. The
Yeah.
shoreline is really back in here, down,
Mhm.
okay? So Porlo Martinez, thinking, because there appears to be no, or let's say, not as much ethics in real estate as there ought to be.
Okay.
And so,
I'm shocked.
they don't tell people things like, well, you know, your lot really is only this little tiny little strip here, and it ends before this strip that belongs to Drum Point. So they convinced him that his lot actually extended back further this way. And so he went in and put his little fences up and did all that, you know,
Yeah.
as he had a right to do, he thought, because it was his land. Turns out that strip, that surveyed strip, actually cuts across the fattest part of the lot that he thinks he owns.
Somewhat significant.
That beach access?
Significant.
Yeah, I walked over there, I saw the markers, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, when you get on the Surf Street side of it, it goes through that creek.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
to start the walk, you're walking in the creek, and then you're walking on Martinez
Right, so
property.
what we think is that, you know, that strip that was here, that we just had surveyed, is actually an extension of this Gray Creek.
Mhm.
Do you have any document that says Gray Creek? And do we have any document, because that's the first I've heard of it being called Gray's Creek through
If
there.
you look on the GIS maps,
Oh, really?
county interactive maps,
Oh, I'll look and find
one
it.
of them shows that as being it's like a green space going up into there.
I've seen that, but I just never noted that there was a
Yeah,
name.
somewhere in one of those, that's where I found Gray's Creek.
Okay, good.
Anyway, so what we think is that strip was put there as the extension of that drainage, that creek, out into the bay.
But was that also a beach access at one time?
No,
Well, now we think the beach gut is further north.
well, the
actual
beach access is the one that we're talking about by
With the
closer to
rings.
Min Booth.
Yeah, it's the rings at
The
Min-
rings.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, when
Okay.
that was first put
That
in,
is
you
the
gotta
access.
realize,
Yeah.
the beach was on both sides.
yes,
of
right.
the-
Yeah.
Now the ring, it's only on one
Right.
side.
Yeah.
So there's really no beach
That was never
access other than
designated
where
as being-
Newtown is.
Well,
It's
it's
water
a little bit,
access.
it's the well rings,
Oh,
and
yeah,
a little bit of thing, because she put that fence up because people were walking across her property.
okay, but that's where
So,
it is.
Yeah. Okay, because we had heard there was another beach access that close to the Fifth Bridge.
That's what
but
we've always
not-
called it, but it
Okay.
never was an issue, so.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So the dilemma now is, what do we do about Martinez? Because he just lost half of his lot by survey.
Can I add
Yeah.
something here? The past couple of years, something else I did was go on land records to track down any quit claims that we may not have hard copy on, and there are quite a few. So I, as you might imagine, because I knew that there were places over the years, because I'd heard complaints about this having happened, where the board would quit claim to adjacent property owners. And some people picked up some pretty nice property. Couldn't find much evidence of any of that, but what I did find, and I don't have it noted here, on Perrin, there's two lots that come together, and I found the one, and there's a quitclaim. the street is supposed to go through to code, I think it is. So a parent comes out, they didn't build it out to code, I think it's code.
No,
Could be wrong.
I think it was
Might be
gonna
Mill.
go out to like Mill
Might be
Street.
Mill Street. But there's a little bit of, it doesn't matter. But what the board did was to quit playing half of that right away to this property here. And to me, that's not like underhanded. Nobody's gaining a great deal
No.
of property, like on the water, which
Do they
others
pay
might
for
have.
it at all, or you just pay it to them?
I think they, I don't remember, I have to look back, and I think there might have been for a sum of in the deed. I have it over there, I just
Can
didn't
we-
think about it for
I don't
tonight.
think we can do that, can we? Take
Well,
money?
we can't,
Well,
we,
I don't know.
It
well,
would be nice if
okay.
we could make him,
So
Oh.
Yeah.
before, I don't remember when this happened, because we benefited from a quick claim like that on our lot.
Mhm.
We needed a little bit more land in order to satisfy the county ratio requirement, permeable ratio.
Right.
So we found out that lo and behold, there's this like 6-foot strip of land across our 200-foot waterfront that's owned by Drum Point.
Right.
And the guys, the surveyor said, well, you know, that county even said, when we were trying for a variance, they said, well, you know, why don't you just go to Drum Point and have them quit claim that over to you or
Not
whatever.
just repairing rights, but quit
So,
playing.
no, the
Yeah.
land,
Right.
okay. So this was in '04. But up to including that time, the board did these quit claims. Okay, then somewhere along the way, shortly after that, there was a big fight in the board, and they changed the rule. They were thinking we were, the board was stealing land or giving away land or whatever, so they changed the, I guess, it's in the bylaws?
Yes,
Somewhere.
yes, it's in the
What it
bylaws.
says now is, no land can be bought, sold, or transferred without membership approval. So it has to go to the whole membership.
Bought or sold.
Or
transfer,
transfer.
he's
Well,
or transfer.
I don't get to look at it.
Yeah.
Well,
I
we'll
think
figure
it
it out.
should.
We'll figure
Transfer.
the word, yeah.
It says transferred or encumbered, I think, so yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's not worth anything, except, I mean,
Well,
You know,
okay,
it's
so,
up to
but the
smart
problem
hands.
is, my recommendation would be that we figure out a way to give him back that land. 'Cause
Yeah.
we don't need it.
Yeah. I agree.
It's not even really in the drainage anymore. The drainage is gonna just take care of itself. But I think we owe it to him, just ethically, to give him back that land, because he basically has
I
been
agree,
cheated out of
I
it.
agree.
Now, how do we do that?
But,
Do we,
I don't know, but we didn't cheat him out of it.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
playing devil's advocate,
Yeah, I'm just doing the
just
same thing.
because he didn't do his due diligence,
The man is
why
a,
are we
the man is a
obligated?
bus driver
to
from
try to
Montgomery
make-
County.
Yeah, you-
Why does that obligate us?
No,
Wait a minute, let me just ask
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
question. Why does that obligate us to give him property that he didn't buy and does not belong to him?
doesn't obligate us to do anything.
right,
Doesn't
Well,
obligate
then
us.
why are we doing it?
Because it's the right thing to do.
yeah.
Well, has he even requested anything
No,
from us?
but
He
doesn't
doesn't
know.
We don't know.
He doesn't know.
we don't know.
When I-
First of all, I think it's
We
gotta
need,
be
we
him.
we need to meet with him
Yeah,
and
explain it, yeah.
tell him what's going on there, because he's obviously gonna see all these new markers and say,
Yes.
why is this marker on my
Yeah,
little plot
Yeah,
of land?
what precedent would it set if we do this and we
Yeah,
look
that's
down
right.
and something
Well,
similar happens?
Wait a minute, I have a question. Does Maryland have a law, which sometimes exists in some states or places, where if you can't access a piece of property that someone has fenced off for a year and a day, it becomes the property of the person who fenced it?
Adverse possession, it's
Yeah.
called.
Adverse
Yeah.
possession.
Maryland does have such.
Eminent
Well,
domain or something?
He's got that fenced, he's got signs
He
up.
says.
Well, he's got it fenced, and he's got signs up that
Does
say
that
no
mean anybody
trespassing.
can put a sign, like a fence up and say, this is my?
It has to be-
Well, but you see, it then becomes incumbent on us to challenge it within a year.
Yeah.
If we choose not to challenge it
I
within
don't
a
know
year,
the time.
well, see, what's the time frame?
What's the law called?
Adverse
Adverse
possession.
possession.
And I know years and years ago, this question came up, not about trying to quit claim, but just the question came up, I think it might have been when we first had Tom Shield come on board with a retainer, and he came and he, you know, talked to the board, and these questions came up, and he advised us, and we did it, to send a letter to everybody who has property on, you know, where there's a right-of-way that was never built through with the road. That this is not your property, just letting you know, just sort of like, so
You're
that couldn't
establishing-
happen.
Yeah, you're
Establishing to them,
That's right.
because people do come in, they don't know the right questions to ask. What do you mean there's a road right away through there? It's my
Yeah.
lot, what are you talking about?
Right,
Because you don't get a proper survey when you buy.
yeah.
If you don't know the right question to
You
ask,
should.
Some people do, and I always have.
well,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't.
Well,
So,
then it's,
anyway, we
it's
did do
not
that.
our fault.
Yeah,
That's
but-
what we do, if people don't want to.
But that's the point. Can we, rather than us taking an action, why don't we look at this whole adverse possession thing? And maybe we can finesse this question by not taking action.
very possible.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's, what does our membership want? You know, I mean, this is something that, there's a reason why it's gotta go to the membership. Because it isn't ours to give away. It's not this
I
board's.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
It might seem like an easy, just thing to do, but it doesn't belong to us. It always
Who
says
does
easy
it
to give
belong to?
away
Who
other
does it
people's
belong
stuff.
to?
The
The membership.
The
So
membership.
it's right away.
But you know,
It's right away.
The property along the shoreline doesn't belong to anybody but the association either, but then we quit claim for riparian rights. People come to us and ask for a full quit claim, so that would have to go to the membership.
Yeah, we don't.
Not a
do
riparian
full
right
quit
one,
claims.
but it would have to go to the membership.
Right, technically, it would have to go to the membership.
Yeah.
But, you know, we,
But that's interesting possibility.
It says 20 years.
20?
20 years.
Oh, thank
Oh,
You
you.
must have a fence for 20 years before it's.
Under Maryland's adverse possession law, an individual must occupy property for at least 20 years before the possibility of ownership.
Yeah.
Well, okay, well then let me take another look at this. That is not really a water access point. It was never intended to be a water access point. Actually, I think what has happened is that creek has moved.
it has.
Mhm.
That, you know,
Yeah,
that was the
it's
line
not
where
out.
the
If you
creek
look at the
was.
pictures.
Yeah.
The creek has moved. So we don't really have to do anything.
Just leave it.
Just
Well,
leave it alone.
What
It's the-
about the person that cut down, shouldn't he be penalized for trespassing?
We have no authority to penalize.
I mean,
Well, I
I-
do
you're
think,
right,
looking at some emails
Is
that
it
I've
a
gotten
homeowner?
from looking at some emails that I've gotten from the property owner, her
Oh, she's
son is kind of intent on pursuing it, but that's up to them, I don't think.
But
Yeah,
that's
we
not
don't- we don't
Martinez
have a role
property,
in
so
that.
that's a
No,
different.
no, that's.
yeah, I mean,
whole
it's a different thing,
Yeah.
but I was just wondering, I mean, to me, that's a bigger
Yeah,
Yeah.
story,
Yeah, but-
because you don't want people just going, oh, I can cut this grass
Yeah,
down
but-
here,
but-
and it's
but
not
we don't
their
have a-
property.
We don't have a dog in that
but
fight.
Dorothy's son should be able to.
Yeah, that's what I said,
Yeah.
her son.
Will the
Yeah,
surveyor be
person.
providing a drawing?
Yes,
Exactly
yeah,
this.
we've got them,
Mhm. So you can,
but that doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess you could,
We can ignore the problem,
yeah,
we
we're
can,
talking Martinez.
we can just let him squat on our little piece of land.
yeah.
We could go to the membership for a request to, but I do think we need to talk to him,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
tell him what's going on.
Yeah.
And, you know, Reed's liable to push this point too.
Who?
The Manland
The
dog.
other
They
guy.
could.
Oh, but he doesn't, but he wasn't doing that on Martinez's property, he was doing that on Dorothy's property, so why?
No, but if he
That
wants
has
to,
none-
if he wants to continue to be difficult.
If he wants to
Yeah,
be difficult and say, I have a right to use that right of way.
but it's.
We would
but
say,
there's
no, you don't, that
there's no-
right of way was for drainage, it was not a beach access
It's
right of way.
not a beach, and what has happened, the creek has moved, and we're not gonna repair it to be a right of way. And our reason is because it starts in the creek, and then it ends up on the concrete riprap.
Mhm.
Or wherever the creek goes.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, the right of way,
But the actual right of way is fixed,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
fixed according to where they put the
Yeah.
survey line.
And we don't wanna, we certainly don't wanna start a right of way in the creek. And we don't want it to end on top of this, the concrete that's poured up there or whatever.
Yeah,
And we don't wanna fix that to make it a right of way.
plus we have a beach access
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
St. Louis,
So in
Further
regards
down.
or whatever.
within 100 yards
Yeah,
of
but
that
then-
point, so.
So that also though begs the question.
There's no access to that stretch of beach.
Exactly.
but
So-
that's Mother Nature.
Unless you wait.
Yeah, you wait a couple of years,
Or
yeah.
whatever.
Or you can, during low tide, you can walk across.
So that begs the question, how, Mr. Reed will be perhaps waiting for the results of this survey, although he
Well,
has
tell him he
seen.
has to set off his fireworks when it's low tide at
Yeah.
night.
Well, fireworks are illegal anyway, so
Yeah,
that's
that's
supposed to be.
So
separate
how-
fireworks. That's a
but
whole
I-
other story.
I feel like at some point we need to bring this to an end and say, this is, but what he's gonna ask is, well, are you going to mark it as access to the water?
But it's
The
not,
answer
but
is
it's
no.
not
So-
an access, no, it never was, it was not intended to be.
So-
With the drainage.
When I get back from Phoenix,
Mhm.
I'll craft a letter explaining that it's always been meant for drainage. These are the very same things, I think, because we'd already found this out, that I sent in the letter certified that he never picked up, and it's in the file now. He never picked it up.
Read.
So, Reed,
So it's returned to us?
yeah, it was returned to us. It takes a while for that to happen. I think I had sent him an email regarding it. I don't remember anymore. But anyway, I'll draft a letter and say, we were right. Survey proves our point, and it will not be marked,
Mhm. Yeah.
because the access point is actually further north.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. And then just talk to Martina separately and just,
Well, I don't know about
We
that,
got-
that's
Well, we're
yours.
gonna have to, and I need to get out of here. I don't wanna argue this anymore right now.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I think we
Yeah.
need to, we do need to tell him what's going on.
Mhm.
We have put, we put
Markers.
markers
Mhm.
on
Yeah,
his,
yeah,
what
yeah.
he thinks is his property.
Right, right,
Right.
yeah.
And I think we ought to not do anything to kick him out of there or anything at this point until we, make further decisions on, take it to the membership or.
I favor doing that. This is one of those where I favor doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Leave it
perhaps
to you.
after
You're right,
Yeah.
like, once you take it to the membership, it's.
Yeah, I
gonna
know,
be a
then-
Pandora's
then
box.
somebody-
I know,
Well,
I
but-
agree.
But in fairness to him, he needs to know
Oh, yeah.
that little piece of heaven that he has there
It's his.
belongs to us.
Yeah, and-
Okay?
well, half of it at
We
least.
can let him, if we choose to, we can let him squat on it.
Is there a way for us to formalize allowing him to squat on it? I mean, formalize it somehow, make it legal.
Give him,
Why
a-
would
We're
we do
allowed-
that?
give him a
Yeah,
99
yeah,
year.
let me play
Oh, yes,
devil's
yeah.
advocate.
Of course, you still gotta get the membership to.
Yeah, why
Right.
would we
Yeah,
do that?
no, I know, that, I don't know.
I think the answer is
Legal.
just leave it
Yeah.
alone.
So if, when I get back from Phoenix, which remember I'm going next week, if I send this letter and he doesn't respond, he doesn't come back Mr. Reed on Dogwood, he doesn't respond, he doesn't seem to be making any other issues about it, just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Let it
Yeah,
die.
yeah.
Well,
20 years from now, when I'm still here.
Yeah.
let his part of it die, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still think,
well, we have to explain
We
to
have to
Martina.
Right,
talk
right,
to
right.
the
Yeah,
other
we have
Because
to-
if he
Well,
ever,
that,
if
yeah.
he ever tries to sell that,
right,
nobody would buy it.
Yeah.
So
So I think that conversation with Mr. Martinez should be
that's
a
separate.
verbal conversation.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, verbal.
Nothing. in-
Verbal.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
And not tape.
Three of these?
We should, maybe when you get back, we could get a hold of him and see if he can meet with us.
He told
Oh, there
me,
we go.
he told me when he bought that, he and his wife saw it, and it must have been low tide,
Yeah.
because it looked like it went way out.
Yeah.
Well, it does when the water's not there.
Yeah, I know,
Why
but
does
it
it say
should be,
Drum Point project on the right of way?
On the,
I have my theory, but
the old, all the old land records and stuff refers to this,
I
a
wanted.
lot of this as being Drum Point project,
because it was at one time.
because the right-of-ways were part of, somehow belonged to the club, and I don't know whatever. But that got separated. There were also references to, because this all was part of, I think Chesapeake Ranch.
Yeah.
And this were sort of joined back in the original development days. So there's a lot of these old land records that still have
Mm.
old references on
Interesting.
Any other questions about that for now, or do we just let it sit?
I would agree with that for now.
All right. good with now, we
Yeah,
just,
good.
that's it.
Yeah.
Follow up with the thing to read and then tell them cease and desist and then see if we can get Martinez sometime.
Any new business?
Well, I wanted to mention something. I was wondering if what people thought about having a social committee where we plan events for children and maybe food truck nights for the community. We recruit members of the community to be on this committee. I know my Alexandria neighborhood does it, and the food truck nights are a big hit. They have a Halloween parade during Halloween. They have parties throughout the year for children.
You know what, why don't you take that and form it up into some more firm points, like, okay, food truck night, where would you park the food truck?
Mhm.
Could you do it?
I was thinking here or the
Well,
beach.
Well, okay, see,
Yeah.
there and
Yeah.
beach.
Cost?
What kind of, is the food for free, do people
Oh,
buy
no.
it?
No.
Okay, and then, okay, things for kids, okay, Halloween is a wonderful thing, what other things are there? And then, if it looks like if there's enough there to do it, okay, fine, then we form a committee, or you form a committee.
But I would suggest it be considered for next year's budget, maybe too,
Well-
because it's gonna have some cost.
Yeah.
There's no money
Well,
right
also
now.
too, just like from the experience that we had for looking for an area for the playground and
Oh,
everything,
yeah.
we tried to get, and two people did come, Crystal and another person, Alyssa came. Sometimes it's hard to get young mothers and other
True.
They
people
don't have
Sure.
to.
involved,
Yeah.
you know, they have, it's like good ideas, and everybody's like really excited about it, and then the more you try to,
Yeah, I tried to start a mom's group on the Facebook page.
yeah.
Everybody liked the idea, but
Right.
nobody wanted to volunteer.
nobody-
Yeah, the same
So,
thing, with, like, even
but-
at the Drum Point Club, where we try to do activities and with kids, like, sometimes you get a lot of response, and then like half the people show up. And I know like families get busy and everything, but that doesn't mean you can't do it, but just.
Well, the food truck night would be easy.
Yes, and it's for
And people could
everybody.
come out, and they could pre-order the food too,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah,
know who's
yeah.
gonna come.
Yeah, and I mean, I
And,
know during the pandemic, we had,
Mhm.
grill
That's
here,
right,
and I like that, cause I, could
Yeah,
ride the bike down or whatever. and,
yeah, it could be for people to take home,
Yeah.
for people to hang out and socialize.
Yeah, we didn't know that guy was gonna take his electricity from us.
No, we didn't.
We did? Oh,
I think, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Oh, is that right?
Huh,
We did,
I didn't think about electricity.
Oh, yeah, the food
Yeah.
truck needed electricity, he had an extension cord running across the street.
Some of them have their own generator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine a lot
I
of
don't
them do.
remember.
Yeah. Huh.
All right, I'll put something together.
Well, one thing that's been real popular around here lately is the Cousins Lobster Roll Truck.
Oh,
I mean, people flock to that thing. They've had it at the museum, they've had it at Brad, they've had it,
Farmers
some of
market.
the car dealers and stuff will have it, they have it at the hospital, once or twice a month.
I hate to be a party pooper, is there a cleanup issue?
Well, we have to put trash cans in.
volunteers would have to volunteer
Well,
to do
the
that.
committee would have
Let's see what our Alexandria neighborhood does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I can see that becoming.
I think what I'm trying to say is, I don't think anybody has an objection or an issue with the idea.
There's
It's
But I
just
think
getting it off the ground.
Yeah, you need a little more, meat on the bones.
Absolutely.
How big is the
Absolutely.
community, how big is the community in Alexandria?
That's a good question, I don't
Yeah,
know. It's not as big as ours. It's not.
That would, so, more difficult.
Any other new business?
Oh, somebody mentioned having a dock decorating contest.
A
A
dog?
dock
Oh, dock.
decorating
Dock
contest.
That's kind of,
I thought that would be fun.
Like a Christmas
But I don't-
kind of thing,
Yeah.
for Christmas?
I guess that's not something that the board would do.
I don't think that
They can
affects
do
the
it.
whole community.
Yeah.
The dock owners may wanna form a group and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That might be something, to kind of push on the neighborhood website.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that on there, so
Yeah.
maybe I'll,
I don't
See if
see that
anybody's
as
more interested.
as a whole community.
yeah,
concern.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right,
yes.
next meeting,
December 3rd, I think, is the first.
that's it.
Right.
Tuesday, yeah.
Does anybody have a problem with that?
No.
I may have to just call in, but that's okay, we can do that.
It's already on my calendar.
Oh, look at that.
It's always on my calendar.
Okay,
Yeah,
12:30.
but then-
Reminder too that the membership meeting is the 21st
Yeah.
of December. Of December.
21st of December.
Mhm.
That's the, well, no,
And
that's
that's
the
10, that's Saturday, that's at 10
10
a.m.,
o'clock.
yeah.
Got that.
All right, anything else? No? Good.
We're adjourned.
I hope everybody has a good weekend. That's right, it's Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,